Hi, Bright and Artisan President Champion Strategies with our ongoing series of public speaking. Why? You always had in your heart that you wanted to be in front of a room. Then the pandemic hit for 2020. We're reduced to this tube. So we always say there's some great institutions out there that just specialize on public speaking, but there is a fee. There are universities that you can go online and get the range of communications, or if you just still wanted to focus on the public speaking. You also were hoping this year to get in front of the room, and now this box is about the best thing that we can do. Well, still give your best upbeat public speaking talk, sticking with strong content and doing all the things we told you, like smiling, and you should be all right. So, today I want to talk about part of public speaking. Remember, after we know what our audience is about, we need to be ready to write. So, here's some tips when you're writing your content, writing your presentation. From doing research in the past, for the inevitable moments when you also asked to give a speech. So here are some tips just for that. Do you know that there's some really famous people that speak? And are you one of their admirers? Just don't listen to their speeches, print them out, read them, while techniques are different maybe than yours. What is something positive that you can take out and incorporate into your speech? We need to research the audience. Once again, if we know why the audience is there, now we can tailor a speech just for that crowd because you need the crowd to react positively, smiling because you're smiling. Have you ever heard a speech described as great when the audience was silent in the entire time you were there? Don't think so. Now, my journalist's background, giving communication speeches, I've had an opportunity to go back to high schools and interview students and ask them the most and least popular techniques if they were giving a speech or if they're currently being introduced to that. What conversations have gone down? What were the people talking about? Right? You can get this information to help you stay online when it's time to do your speech. Now, the efforts should be rewarding. Despite inspiring stories and brilliant poses and the biggest punchlines, this is what we need to see what they did. And once again, nothing wrong with taking something out and incorporate it to your speech. Focus. People have short attention spans and it can only take one or two lessons away from you. So don't, while you're creating the content, overload them. Just focus on your content with bullet points, key points, takeaway things that you want the guest to remember. It's okay to be a bit repetitive in your speech. There's nothing wrong with redundancy if you're trying to get that message, that explosion piece in there. Also, pose a question and answer it yourself. If you go to something like TED Talks, you will see the speakers pose a problem or a question and then uses their time to answer it. I think it's an effective way to keep your audience engaged. Tell stories. Once again, we need to make sure that, yes, I understand everybody likes humor, but what's tasteful in that group that's listening to you today? Make sure it doesn't offend anyone. Nothing wrong with using quotes from some of the great people of the past, because if the quote is meaningful to you and the audience, then you can go deeper in explaining where the connection comes in. Don't get really hung up on grammar as you're writing. A speech is designed to be heard, not read. Write like you would speak. However, you would speak if it's very thick and laced, or if it's a little loose with some slang in it. Everyday grammatical errors will be forgiven in a speech, especially if it makes you sound more reliable, if it makes you sound more credible. Now, always be cognizant of the audience. It may seem intimidating to stand in front, be in front of the room, and speaking to a crowd, or if we're doing a Zoom meeting and we're hosting it on, online. But you got to handle on the first part already. Now we need to do is work our way through the public speaking tips, taking time to craft and practice your speech and your breathing. You have written a great speech. Do you know any public speaking tips that we could throw in? And you'll find them based on the tailor of your presentation. Once you have that down, practice. I always say it, we need to practice. And many times adults wing it instead of practicing. And now they wonder why they're not successful of giving a public speech. So, once again, if you can take some of these things that sound good to you and incorporate it, your next presentation, your next Zoom meeting should be a lot better. Once again, Brandon Hardison, President of Champion Strategies, and giving you the public speaking workshop tip for today. And write your own speech. Don't have somebody write it for you. Now, with that said, as always in parting, you go out, you make it